Hey folks, welcome back to the Dormouse's desk. I figured that I should probably do my June currently inked before the end of the month. So here we are, we're going to do just quick and dirty because it's all I've got time for. But anyway, I enjoyed most all of the things that I inked this month. And we'll talk about what I didn't enjoy when we get to it, but a lot of writing happened. So let's start with this one. First pen, Lamy 2000, and this is a medium nib. And I'm just going to use my ink rag here as a You may not think that's a medium nib, but it is very much a medium nib. This ink is from Mita. I am so sorry, that's out of focus. There. It is from Mita, and I have forgotten what the last half of the store name is. If you are interested in ordering these inks, the Wet Pen, Matthew over at the Wet Pen has an amazing video that shows you how to order them because they're very difficult to get if you live in the United States. So he shared that with all of us, and I'm just like, I've been wanting inks specifically because of the bottle. The bottles that they have I find really, really beautiful, and I've been eyeballing them for probably about a year or so now, but I never could figure out how to get them, without taking a trip to Japan. So when he uploaded the video on how to get them, I sort of jumped on it. I will say, if you're hesitant, because there's some, if you're an English speaker and you don't speak Japanese, there's some questioning there. You can't read everything, but with Google Translate and the steps that Matthew mentions, it was very easy, and the shipping was, I swear, I got it within the week. It was absolutely amazing, fantastic. So anyway, this is Mita, and these inks, not all of their inks are scented, but this one is. It's like a spearmint, and honestly I only ever smell it when it's in the bottle. I don't smell it in the pen at all. Can't smell it from the cap. I don't smell it in the pen, and I don't smell it on paper. No. So if you're sensitive to scented inks, I don't think this would be much of a problem for you because it's not strong. The worst part of it, ooh, I got it all over myself already. The worst part is literally just in the bottle. So this is their blue black. Again, I don't read Japanese. This is Hakka blue black. We'll just leave it at Hakka. Messy today. Wow, so messy today. Wow. Okay, I don't think that was a fault in the bottle. I think that was a fault in the user. Alright, well, I can't wait to rewatch that footage and see how I screwed that one up, but, I did, apparently. So, I must have tilted it with the cap not quite on. Okay, so how did I feel about this combination this month? My experience with scented inks is that they're always very wet. That is no different here. And I put it in a Lamy 2000, which was not a great idea either. This is a very, very wet combination. If you like your pen super juicy, this is for you. But I think that this will work really, really well in dry pens as well. So I'm not unhappy with it. It's just like, whoa, it's a lot. But yeah, I enjoyed writing with it. The sheen sometimes is a little bit too much for me, because it does have like a reddish sheen to it. And sometimes as I was taking notes, like this was not great for note taking for me, because I would sometimes smear my notes if my hands were a little bit sweaty and I was like looking at a previous page or something. I would end up with some smearing. But other than that, it was fine. It was fun to write with, and I enjoyed it. Let's go on to something else. Okay, so we'll do this. This is a TWSBI Eco. And this is the Glow Green. I'm just going to abbreviate that with GG, good game, and a 1.1 stub. And the ink is Diamine Appletini. Gonna bring you in a little bit. I really thought that I would have been able to get away with this ink, especially in such a wide-nibbed pen. Just as something sort of brighter and more summery to look at than some of the darker things that I had done recently. Make it more fun and summery, you know, represent the season. But this, like the majority of my writing lately has been in note-taking, which I have to go back and I have to reference a lot. And, you know, that's fine, like so long as I'm writing, that's good. If I were writing a letter to somebody that only had to like read through it once, I think this would be a good ink for that. But if you have to constantly stare at something for a long period of time, if you have to memorize some of the notes that you're making, neon green is not a good option for, you know, for the pleasure of your eyes. Like you're gonna get some fatigue with it. It's a little bit rougher to stare at. I like the color though. I think it's very happy, very vibrant, and it worked well in this. I think it was like a pretty good like medium flow. It didn't feel too dry, which is important. But like I said, it was difficult for notes. I did appreciate there was some haloing, some pooling around the edges of the letters, which helped with visibility. But still, it's a little bit too light, even in a super broad nib for if you're looking at it and like worried about eye fatigue. But I still like the color, and in other contexts, not in, you know, if I wasn't in school and I didn't have to constantly reread the stuff that I wrote down, I would probably enjoy that ink a lot. Okay, and so then I'm going to do the next totally super bright ink that I chose for June, and this one, I am really shocked at how much I really liked it. This is a Kaweco All Sport, and this is the Iguana Blue. This is a double broad oblique nib. This nib is really great. And this is Diamine Coral. I never hear anybody talk about this ink. And I don't know why. This is a really fun one. And it really super reminds me of coral. And let's see, you know the zig dot markers? Hold on, let me just grab it. Okay. If you guys like these zig dot markers, I use them for schoolwork, the tasks that I have to do for school. I'll make to-do lists and use these to dot, and then I can check off the dots. It might not be so close on this paper, but on the Morrowman Nemesine paper, which is what I use for notes, I use those little A5 black notebooks. It's a really, really super close match. I was surprised. Oh, so the name of this one is Island Coral. So there's that, if you're interested in getting a decent match. With your fountain pen ink and your zig dot markers. It's not exact, but it is really close. This one, though it is really bright, I found was much easier to read while I was doing my note taking. So if that's a concern for you, at least for my eyes, this was not as fatiguing, which I appreciated, and I found that I had to re-ink this pen a couple of times just to make it through the month. Messy again. Well, as far as flow out of the pen, it felt nice. I never felt like it was dry. There's like decent amount of lubrication. It felt like a regular like diamine ink, not too wet and not too dry. This color is like super pretty. It has like just like a little bit of this like hot pink in there, but also some orange, as a coral should have. This didn't spread for me like I liked it, but I had a good time with this combination. Okay, next up, Pelican M250. I don't exactly remember if it's an M or if it's prior to the M, but I actually traded a pen for this pen. It has a cursive smooth italic on it, and the ink that I chose, I am really incredibly shocked at how well this worked. This is neck and neck, probably one of my favorite inkings this month. So we have, I'll call it an M250, and if you know that it's not, let me know. Demonstrator, cursive smooth italic nib, and the ink is Bearsworth Press pop. Oh, handwriting is really miserable today. Wow, it's bad. Okay. So you see the amount of capacity that this pen has. I've refilled it twice this month. That's how much I've used it. I find that it's really great for looking back at notes. It has just like a little bit of interest in it. It dries down really well. It doesn't smudge because there's no sheen to it. And it was just so super user-friendly. Coming out of the Pelican, it was nice and wet. Almost too wet sometimes. Between the Haka and the Grace Ice Pop and the next pen I'm going to show you, I was getting some like bleed through in areas on that paper. But nothing really bad. This is the wrong ink. That would have been funny. Hey, buddy. I know. I know. Now, do I think that this is going to prompt me to buy a bottle of grape ice pop? I don't think so. Just because I have so many purples. I think it's just going to prompt me to use this pen a lot more. I think that this is the first ink that I've put in this one. Come on out. But yeah, I'm just absolutely shocked at the amount of ink that I went through on this. Either the pen is a ink guzzler or I just wrote a lot with it, and I'm not sure, because they were full fills every single time. I filled it completely, and so this is like the third fill of it this month. Last pen is my Pilot 823. This also is on its second fill. This has been very pleasant. Medium nib. And this says Kobe 17. Yep. I don't think that this works well with the whole palette of this month, but I really wanted to use this pen, and I have a thing against using something other than brown in a brown pen. I haven't quite broken that yet. I should try it with a blue, but I think that would bother me. But yeah, the fact that I managed to go through a fill on this one as well just blew my mind. Lots of note writing. So how do I feel about antique sepia? I think it's a nice brown. It gives a little bit of green sheen to it, as a lot of these super saturated browns tend to do. It's not my favorite brown, but it is a really nice brown. It worked very well in the pen, although, you know, it's if your ink doesn't work in an 823, if your ink has issues in a Pilot pen, I don't know what's wrong with your ink then. But yeah, you know, Japanese ink, Japanese pen, worked out very nicely. Let me scooch out. No problems. So I'll let this dry and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so we're pretty much there. The Mita is still not quite dry. Mita has their inks made by Kakimori. So if you like Kakimori inks, you might also like the Mita, what Mita has to offer, because they're made by Kakimori. Yeah, the sheen is really, really pretty, but I'm not sure that the ink particularly is special, but the bottle is special. But it flows fine. So if you're interested in a scented ink that has some sheen to it, that one, it does take a little bit to dry. Some nice shading with the appletini, the coral. It's just a nice, pretty coral color. Grace Ice Pop, also nice, and you don't get any smudging or anything with that ink. Antique Sepia, that might still be a little bit dry. Yeah, that one smudges still a little bit. It could be that I didn't give it enough time to dry, but in the chromatography there's a little bit of green in it, which is pretty. This is a very dark brown ink. So on certain papers and in certain lights it may look black. If you want something that is very clearly brown, yeah, you might want to water this one down or go with just a lighter colored ink. But it flowed really nicely. I've never been disappointed with a Kobe ink. I think all Kobe inks are really, really beautiful. And I challenge you to tell me of one that just is not, because I'd like to meet it. But yeah, a little bit of sheen in there. I think this is like a black sheen. I could have sworn it was a green sheen. It's on the green side. It's like a greenish black sheen. Yeah, it's pretty dark. So anyway, this was my month. I am very excited to switch things up for next month. I don't envision that I'm going to have a whole heck of a lot of time next month either. I think I should be back into the swing of things for a little while in August. Just life and work and school right now are just a little bit crazy, and I miss you guys so much, but you have to set priorities where they need to be. So unfortunately this has fallen a little bit lower on my priority list, but that doesn't mean that I don't love it any the same as, you know, the other stuff like work. I don't love work, but I really do love hanging out with you guys and, you know, playing with ink. Inky fingers does not bother me at all. I am not sad that I spilled ink on myself. It's not a good day unless you have ink on you. So I guess that makes today a really good day. But anyway, this is what I did for June. I don't have any ideas for how I'm going to ink July, but if you have ideas for things that I should try, leave me a note in the comments. And until next time, which I hope is sooner rather than later, have a great day. Go play with pens. Get inky. Bye.